Okay, guys, welcome to the channel. We are reviewing another day 3 fragrance, so we can finish out the line and really just get a sense of what this house has to offer. I don't know much about this fragrance, but we're about to do a deep dive in to figure out if you've had your eye on this house or this particular fragrance. Is it something you may want to consider pulling the trigger on? Strap up and take a walk with me.
Okay, dinner for two. I wish I had move side to side as I let this in into the room. You were on time, let's connect minds. Trying to get into a mood. We gon' be fine. Close up the blinds, no rush. Finish the food.
All right, welcome to the scent bubble. I am your host for the evening. From the house of day 3, this is La Tacita de Café, which I have no clue what that means. Let's see if they give us any information. This is a citrus gourmand fragrance for men and women. Launched in 2023. Inspired by the warm, comforting smell of Dominican coffee. Served on a late afternoon in a tiny, ornate cup with a spoonful of dark brown sugar and a small piece of warm cake. La Tacita de Café is simultaneously rich and resinous, yet light and clean. It is a dark amber fragrance in extrait de parfum concentration that somehow wears bright and uplifting despite. The huge amounts of high-quality natural ingredients give La Tacita de Café beautiful complexity while keeping the spotlight on the Dominican coffee heart. Coffee. Okay. Well, let's see if all that poetry becomes... Oh, excuse me. Let's see if all that poetry becomes a reality. Okay. Put a little on skin here. Just a dab. Just a dab for good measures. So far, a lot of these fragrances from the house are floral based or like entry-level gourmand. They're vibes. It's a vibe. I gotta let that dry down. My test strip, I don't know if you could see it, but it's like very wet. Pause. I'm gonna let that thing dry down a bit. Oh, wow. Okay, I gotta reapply that on skin. I could tell this fragrance ain't nothing to play with. Sometimes a fragrance is... Oh my gosh, guys. Sometimes a fragrance... Pardon me while I'm falling apart here in real time. Sometimes a fragrance is so simple or is so figured out, I can navigate my way around the fragrance pretty quickly, and I might not need to put it on skin or, I can just roll through it. But I can just tell with this fragrance in the air, I need to give it the variations and proper due diligence so that I don't misdescribe this fragrance. And I try to do that most of the time, but sometimes I genuinely feel like I can just breeze through a particular review because there's not much there to investigate. So we're going to see if that's the case with this. But I loaded it up on skin. The test strip is drying down. And now, 4 minutes in, here we are with the review. So on the test strip, it's a very bright, airy, slight citric. Almost feels like there's some floral elements, like either rose or white florals, really tucked in the back. But I would say it's almost equally citric as it is coffee-based. The coffee note is very light yet very rich. So like if we're looking at Kawa, and I hate to compare a niche fragrance to a clone fragrance, but I know that more people are familiar with the clones than if I was to describe another niche coffee fragrance. And I don't, I try to either appeal or make the content versatile enough to where, people who are educated and into this space are fed. But I also acknowledge that 90+% of people that are searching and watching these videos and following these people are not fragcom. They're just regular everyday people just getting into fragrance and trying to learn something new for their fragrance journey, and they're at entry level. And so Kawa is going to be a lot better of a reference point than something else. However, in Kawa, you get a very rich, dense, almost milky, but not quite. It's more like a caramel latte type of coffee note. This is more like a aromatic, citric topped coffee note that is almost like a watery latte. Like, I don't quite want to call it black coffee. It's somewhere between like black coffee and caramel latte. It's caramel latte quite watered down and diluted with not as much milk. And I like that because that citric touch, that aromatic touch under all this just gives it like a breath of fresh air while still being pungent. And it wears very beautiful on the skin. On the skin, the citruses ring off so heavy. Let's just cut the crap and go to the monitor here so we could see what we're dealing with. Spices and wild orange. Interesting. I was tending to believe like a bergamot or something. Spices, wild orange on top. Coffee, rum, caramel, and rose. Okay, so there's the lightness of the coffee. The rum is really kind of giving it more of a watery base to the coffee rather than being thick. Caramel and rose, caramel coffee. It's not really like distinct heavy gourmand, dense caramel. It's more like caramel coffee beans. The rose is there. The rose really just kind of complements and gels well with the rum. Brown sugar, amber, vanilla, tonka, sandalwood, amyris. I love me some amyris. It has an amyrisness to it. It's almost like if MFK's amyris had a baby with Kamarakawa and then got soaked in rum. That's a cool sounding combination right there. Yeah, on the test strip, it feels very light and pretty. You know, rose, rum, coffee, spices. That citrus rings off more like a bergamot or a lemon to me, but I do smell the orange. Amber, vanilla, tonka here. You would think this is a very dense fragrance, and it is rich, but it is not dense. It doesn't feel like the weight of like Spice Bomb Extreme or Tom Ford Noir Extreme, or even Angel Share. Like, it almost feels a touch lighter than Angel Share's density, which I kind of appreciate because it's a sexier, alluring vibe. It's not like a projective blast. It's a sillage sensualness. Yeah, on skin, the orange and spices, the top notes really permeate the fragrance. Like on the test strip, it feels more coffee, rummy, rosy, amber. On skin, the orange. And again, this is where skin chemistry comes in, because for me, this is a orange spice bomb on skin. I get the coffee and rum and rose in the background, but on the test strip, those feel like foreground and spice and orange feel like background. Whereas here, roles reverse, and I get a very spicy orange loudness with coffee, rum, caramel, and rose ever so faint in the background with the same liquid density as Angel Share, how that sits on skin. But Angel Share, I think, comes off a little bit denser than this. One, because there's not coffee in it. But two, just due to the chemicals or whatever, there's a little bit more of a weight to the vanilla, praline, cinnamon type of vibe. I really like this fragrance. I don't know about the utility of it for men, but it does provide something different in the coffee space that's both coffee lover-esque, but equally sexy too. It has a sexiness to it. It's not just a gourmand where you're like, yeah, but what would I do with it? Like, this could be a date night, sexy vibe, playful. There's a beautiful light, airy elegance to this that's like unmatched. That's one of the things I notice about day 3. The aroma chemicals and stuff that they're working with is so high grade that whether they're faint or dense, there is a pungency and a clear cutness to the fragrance. They don't feel like they're lackluster in the formula. They're very intentionally wanting this light, airy, floating sensation where the fragrance feels like it's just dancing on the edge of the skin and popping off with just little bursts of beautiful projection. This is really nice. Like I said, put this on skin because it seems like the roles reverse, at least for my skin. Very rich, rummy, almost tobacco-y spiciness to the orange on skin. My skin treats this very differently than the test strip. Okay, let's go to some usual suspects because this is really cool. I hate when that logo pops up. We'll make sure that doesn't pop up on the outro. Okay, I think colder weather leaning, but any season, any reason, so long as it's 70 and below. Women, I think this is an elegant, sexy, upscale, casual fragrance for you guys, or a playful date night, or an interesting, selective nightlife. Men, honestly, for men, I don't know what you do with this. If you were in a Starbucks or a cafe or a lounge, or like a cigar lounge or something, there may be some degree of sense that it makes, but it has a sexiness to it. So as a man going into a cigar lounge, it's like different level of signals being thrown there with a fragrance choice like that. Actually sipping a coffee right now. They go well together. This is very much in the vein of Angel Share, but you got to imagine here. The difference is I think in Angel Share, it's cognac, not rum. So the new notes would be the coffee instead of cinnamon, rose, wild orange, and caramel instead of like praline, but the base is essentially the same entirely with the addition of amyris and brown sugar. So on test strip, you will for sure get an Angel Share-ish direction by about like 60%, but I think the 40% nuance is with one of the coolest renditions of coffee bean. It truly feels like coffee bean and not coffee. It feels like, you know, caramel soaked coffee beans. So it has this lightness to it while still being rich. The rose really lifts up the coffee caramel rum spices in such a beautiful way here. Gives them such a nice character. The rose really glues the heart together. The amber, vanilla, the amyris even gives a nice, I don't know if it's not effervescence. It's almost like a sparkliness to it. Really interesting fragrance. I think for women, this is easily perfect. A 10 out of 10 for women. For men, I think if a man wore this in any situation, even if you found the best case scenario, it would be like a 9. But just because a fragrance smells really good doesn't mean it's practical to you. So I don't know, guys. I'm usually pretty lenient in this category because I love Angel Share. And I have to ask myself if, you know, the only place that seems appropriate for this for me is some sort of date night that's lounge based. But it doesn't have a lot of redeeming masculine qualities. The rum isn't rum soaked. The coffee is like the only masculineness to this fragrance, in my opinion. And that's not really masculine. That's kind of a unisex accord, in my opinion. Yeah, guys. I mean, if you can wear Angel Share, you can wear this, guys. However, it feels strongly feminine leaning to me. I love it in the air. And I would even venture to like, man, if they would have just threw some tobacco or ramped up the rum or switched the rum to cognac, now you've got something that has some huevos to it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I only see guys using this on date night very selectively as some type of, but I wouldn't call it a signature. You don't pop out on this all the time, guys, or she's going to question if you even like her. You know what I'm saying? 9 out of 10 fragrance for men, 10 out of 10 fragrance for women, but way harder to choose the environment and vibe and backdrop of where men would wear this. I can see women doing a lot of stuff with this, but it's definitely worth putting your nose to, especially if you guys like Angel Share. This is a breath of fresh air to that DNA. I swear everything's running in the shadow of Angel Share in the realm of praline, vanilla, spices, cinnamon, tonka bean, all that nonsense. I would have thought this would have been even closer to Angel Share just because the DNA is almost like spot on in the shadow of it, but there's enough with the quality of the ingredients and the nuances of the accords to really make it feel like more of a cousin fragrance than a brother-sister type of fragrance. Sprays on this, I think you could comfortably go 4 to 8. Like I could see women going heavy on this, 6 to 8, men going super light. Yeah, I mean, there are alternatives, guys. I think immediately about in Amir's Paris Corner Fire Your Desire, but it's not going to give you an alternative of this. You would actually have to blend Kawa with Fire Your Desire at about a 2 or 3 to 1 ratio. Like Kawa is nuclear, so like, and again, I'm giving away combos that immediately start standing out in my mind, but like 1 spray of Kawa in the front with 3 Amir Paris Corner Fire Your Desires around it, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think could be compelling to get really close to this ballpark. But I can't think of any alternatives that just outright clone this. And rightfully so, right? Man, what a cool combo. I really like this fragrance. Again, for me, it just comes down to practicality as a man, but I love this in the air. I would love it as a candle as well. But yeah, 9 out of 10 for men, 10 out of 10 for females. I want to make that distinction because guys, you need to tread through this fragrance carefully if you're even going to crawl down this avenue. Women, you're going to absolutely love it. You're going to have so much utility to it. Upscale casual, even playful casual if you want. Date night, it's sexy. It's got a sexiness to it. So you're just a woman doing your thing, being independent, going about your day, and then you can switch the lights off and go to date night or nightlife and be just as... give it a little more edginess to it. Like, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. We drop episodes every single day. And this was day 3's fragrance, La Tacita de Café. Let's just look up what that means real quick. La Tacita de Café. Translation. The little cup of coffee. Beautiful. Nice. Okay, guys. Hey, appreciate you guys for watching. Day 3 is dope. I'm really enjoying the little kind of remix type fragrances they've been making to some popular DNAs. And I really appreciate the craftsmanship and quality of this house so far. We only have a few fragrances left to go through. So if you have any questions, let me know if you've gone through any of these fragrances. I do talk back. I'd love to get the conversation going in the comment section below. But until next time, I hope y'all stay blessed. And yeah, man. Man, it just reminded me I want to take a sip of my coffee. You guys take care. Peace.